They want to destroy the people of Mariupol. They want to make them starve, Vereshchuk said. It's a war crime. A child was among those in the hospital airstrike in Mariupol. 17 people were also wounded, including women waiting to give birth, doctors, and children buried in the rubble. Images of the attack, with pregnant women covered in dust and blood, dominated news reports in many countries. Ukrainian emergency employees and volunteers carry an injured pregnant woman from a maternity hospital that was damaged by shelling in Mariupol, Ukraine. Evgeniy Maloletka, AP Russia shifted its stance over the of a Ukrainian hospital in the city of Mariupol, with a mix of statements that veered between aggressive denials and a call by the Kremlin to establish clear facts. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky rejected Russian assertions there had been no patients at the hospital. Like always, they lie confidently, said Zelensky, who has accused Moscow of waging genocide in the war it launched 2 weeks ago. In the face of worldwide condemnation, there were rare signs of inconsistency in the response from Russian officials, who since the start of Moscow's invasion on February 24 have stuck tightly to the same narrative for what Russia calls its special military operation in Ukraine. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, asked for comment in the immediate aftermath, told on Wednesday, Russian forces do not fire on civilian targets. On Thursday, he said the Kremlin would look into the incident. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov denies Russian forces would fire on a hospital. AP. We will definitely ask our military, because you and I don't have clear information about what happened there, Peskov told reporters. And the military are very likely to provide some information. Loading other Russian officials took a more aggressive line, rejecting the hospitaling as fake news. This is information terrorism, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said. The Defense Ministry later denied having aired the hospital, accusing Ukraine of staging the incident. It said Russian forces at the time had been respecting an agreement to hold fire to allow the evacuation of civilians. Russian aviation carried out absolutely no strikes on ground targets in the area, spokesman Igor Konashenkov said. The alleged airstrike was completely a staged provocation that can deceive the Western public, but not an expert. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov attacked what he called pathetic shouting about so-called atrocities by the Russian armed forces. He told reporters after meeting Ukraine's foreign minister in Turkey that the hospital building had for days been under the control of ultra-radical Ukrainian forces, and they had emptied out the doctors and patients. But this version was rejected by Zelensky as a lie. Moscow says it is conducting a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. Kiev and the West reject these as false pretexts for an invasion of a democratic country of 44 million people. On Wednesday, the United States denied renewed Russian accusations that Washington was operating biowarfare labs in Ukraine, calling the claims laughable. Thousands of people have been and more than 2 million have fled the country since Russian troops crossed into Ukraine on February 24. Encircled cities have been suffering from shortages of food, medicine, heat and electricity, and thousands of trapped civilians were hoping to leave on Thursday during temporary ceasefires the two sides agreed to. The most past attempts failed because of continued Russian shelling. Russian forces captured several Kiev suburbs and were trying to take Chernihiv in the north, the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces said Thursday. Loading they were also advancing on the southern cities of Mykolaiv, Kryvyi Rih, Voznesensk and Novovorontsovka, it said. Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said about 2 million people, half the residents of the Ukrainian capital's metropolitan area, have left the city, which has become a virtual fortress. Every street, every house, is being fortified, he said in televised remarks. Even people who in their lives never intended to change their clothes, now they are in uniform with machine guns in their hands. Civilian authorities reported rationing overnight in the suburbs of Kiev and 2 other cities, as well as shelling in the eastern city of Kharkiv, which is the country's second largest city. Russia has deployed more than 150,000 troops and retains large and possibly decisive advantages in firepower, despite facing fierce Ukrainian resistance and global financial pressure aimed at crippling its economy. Russia's Deputy Energy Minister, Evgeniy Maloletka, said Thursday that power had been restored to the decommissioned Chernobyl nuclear plant. He said the energy supply came from Belarus, but he otherwise didn't elaborate. AP